Alright guys, welcome back. We are watching Onimonogatari Episode 3, Shinobu Time, Part 3. Last time, we talked about Shinobu's past with the first minion. It was a very beautiful episode, honestly. It was just, peak Monogatari is when two characters talk to each other for 30 minutes. And that's what we got. It was great. We have kind of learned about what the darkness is. I think I'm still not sure yet if the characters in universe understand what it is, or like if I'm even correct, I guess, right? Kind of unclear with like the way Shinobu was describing it. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess the question from here is if we're starting to understand what the darkness is, what do we do about it? How do we know like who it's targeting? I don't know. Lots of questions. So I guess we'll see. We're watching episode 3. You can line your copy up with this if you want to. We are starting in 3, 2, 1. Okay. I suppose, yeah. Certainly no concrete answer as to what it is, right? Certainly some hints about what makes it show up, but hmm. Okay. Is it something we can even strike? True, if that happens again, that would be very bad. Yeah, yeah. Just like Oshino. Yeah. Interesting that he thinks of that in that moment. Oh, she's back. That hag. Like, come on. Interesting. Does Oninoki know more about this than she let on? It's sure. I mean, it doesn't seem like it from earlier. Of course, of course. Oh, naturally. You can't listen in on someone's tragic backstory, Oninoki. Come on. Yeah, she'll beat you up again. I'm sure. I'm sure. True. You could only beat her up before because you had been powered up. Oh, fuck. It's time. True. I don't know. It was sounded interesting, I guess. Sure, sure. Interesting. They reminded about what? Maybe Ononoki has more of an idea of the darkness now after listening to it. I, yes. Yeah, you do. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I'm immediately, just to ramble at something that no one cares about, I'm just immediately again struck by the interesting opposition, or like, the way, the antagonism between Ononoki and Shinobu. Like, I mean, we talked about it last time. I just could not think of anything at all. But it's just interesting that it's there. It like means something thematically, right? Like whatever you want to say, both of these characters represent as characters. It means something that they have like this oppositional, antagonistic relationship with each other. I don't know. I can kind of think of some reason, maybe, but it's not really like satisfying to me. But it's to me, it's really clear that that's something the author is doing on purpose. Obviously, there's a reason why that their relationship is the way it is. But I'm just not. I just know. I don't know. I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. Part 3. We're attacking. But I get her. Yeah, time to get her. Oh, great. I thank you, Araragi. Thank you. Okay, we got that out of the way. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And they all get along so well. Yeah, you shouldn't have said that out loud. Uh-huh, uh-huh. I literally. Perfect. Just what we wanted. Of course, Shinobu has to be in a higher chair than Ononoki, obviously. That well, it might be too late for that. Okay. Oh God, don't ask that. Oh Jesus. What? Why? No, we don't need to make that clear. It's fine. It's okay. Don't worry. Sure, sure. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's okay. That is literally just not fair. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Uh-huh. It's time to air all of our grudges, apparently. Like, we really gotta get past all this jealousy, huh? Literally. Yeah, let's get back on track here. Okay, okay. I guess it's not. I guess we really have to address this, huh? Oh, Hachikuji's awake. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder which one his favorite is, huh? Oh God, she's being launched into orbit. I haven't had one of these in a while, huh? Exactly. It's beautiful. Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, 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 yeah. The Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, kill him. Okay, we're all biting him now. All right, I guess he deserves it. And literally. Well, he always does it in front of you. You're always in his shadow, but Heights is now the time. You were the one who started it. The examination. Right, right. Of course, of course. Perfect. Her magical girl transformation is complete. Oh, okay. If you say so. Maybe she can just go handle it, I guess. Interesting. He was never gonna do that. Come on. Although, I don't know. Something to think about there, I think. True. Yeah. The red light. The red light. God damn it. Not the red light. Well, it was a matter of life and death. Come on. She's the leader, I guess. That's very shot. She should be the one not in the lead the most, I feel like. But sure, sure. Oh, okay. She could only handle that much. Apparently it's them too. All right. Okay. Finally. Mm-hmm. True, I suppose. I guess. That's no way that would work. Yeah. God, so many text flashes. Okay, sure. I'm ready. I'm ready. It certainly seems like it. Yeah, it's something beyond aberration, beyond oddity. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's something like that's, I don't know, it's just a completely different existence. Yeah. It's almost like it's something that like dictates the existence of oddities themselves, you know? That's what it feels like. Well, yeah, there's someone who knows everything. Exactly. Oh, is it? Oh, it's just here. Okay. All right. Rough, I guess. Right. Sure. I did not think it was just going to show up, huh? Why would it show up now? Interesting. Oh, we gotta. How are we gonna get out? Even where are we going? Okay, sure. Using unlimited rulebook again. Okay, we gotta go. It's time to go. Literally, we're getting out of here. Oh, God, that looks so weird. Okay, well, we escaped again. Where are we headed now? God, that shot reminded me of Bake. Yeah, it's the waterfall area, I suppose. Sure, weak against vertical movement. That's the second time we brought that up, right? Does that mean something? The idea of moving vertically instead of horizontally? I don't know. I don't know. I thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're waiting a long time, I guess. They poisoned you. That's interesting, right? That being like friends like that. I don't know, huh? Hmm. Sure. Yeah. Interesting. I wonder if he's just doing an Araragi right now, or if he's genuine when he says he has no idea. I don't know. I don't know. Because he likes to do that, right? Like in Kizu, you know? Hmm. Can we even retaliate? What do we do against that thing? Sure. Yeah, I mean it could be after any of you, right? Other than Otonoki, I suppose. Probably. Yes, Guy Nizuko. Guy Nizuko. And we know Guy Nizuko is going to give Araragi like the talisman thing too. So like we know they're gonna meet up. Well, I maybe. Guy Nizuko's already in town though, so I think we're just gonna go talk to her. Hmm. Okay. I wish. Only you and Shinobu can, huh? Interesting. Something about abandoning him? I gotta go back and read those ones for sure. God, I like no chance of me catching any of these at all. Oh, okay. Sure, interesting. I sure. Hmm. Yeah, but what? I mean, I have what would have happened? You know, I mean, she wasn't left behind, right? No, I did. What? She just like went back into Aragi's shadow, right? Is that even possible? I guess we don't know. Maybe. Yeah. She has a Nintendo DS. Is she just not? No, I guess we knew this was gonna happen, didn't we? Okay, I Aragi, how? What? Okay, right. My bad. I should have thought of that. I should have known. Of course. Uh huh. Oh, obviously. Right. Yeah. Walking towards her like that. Uh huh. What's up, Hachikuchi? Okay. I I don't think that would help. Literally. Yeah. How awful. How will you survive? What about her? Well, it's unclear. Maybe. Oh, my bad. Sorry. I'll be quiet. Ooh, really? Yeah. No, we knew this was going to happen from Tsubasa Tiger, right? That Shinobu and his like link were going to be separated. Yeah. Hmm. Well, no, we know she's not dead, right? That would be insane. But no, of course not. Of course not. Yeah, right. I was just thinking about that. How this brings us back to the idea of Aragi, yeah, returning to being human. That is an interesting thing. Hmm. Punch him. See if he regenerates. Blow him up with unlimited rulebook. I guess. Is that how it works? I suppose. Because I guess he's not fulfilling the normal requirement to be able to see her. Sure. Okay. Interesting. He can see her. No, that definitely means something. Him being able to see Hanji Kuji despite Shinobu not being here. Hmm. Like, thematically, you know. Interesting. Was eradicated. The tree. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Lots to think about with that, I think. Oh, really? She's just left behind, I guess. I mean, yeah, she got essentially like ripped out of a shadow then. But if the darkness didn't immediately kill her, then I mean that kind of means the darkness must not be targeting her then, right? I assume it tried to follow them, right? Yeah. I want to apologize. Interesting. I gotta read those ones too, for sure. Hmm. He won't forgive it. But is the darkness something that like forgiveness is even a factor? You know what I mean? It just seems like a force of nature, you know? Hmm. I guess we have a nice taxi with Ononoki. Oh, okay. I never mind. My bad. Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. He's not immortal right now. Interesting. What does it mean to be immortal, though? You've gotten weaker. Yeah. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's becoming human again, right? Yeah, yeah. Very interesting. Huh. And of course, he literally gets weaker alongside it, right? Hmm. No, right? Because remember, the more human you are, the less vampire she is as well, right? That's how, and the more vampire you both are. Yeah, 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 yeah. So Shinobu has to be even weaker than she is normally? Hmm. Interesting. God, where are we? Okay, sure. The secret password. Oh, this music again? Oh my god. A classic. Oh, right, that text. Yeah, 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 yeah. Right, right. Oh, right, right. 23rd of August. I don't. What was happening on this day in Tsubasa Tiger? 2 days after the arc started, I don't know. I'd have to think. We are so far away, apparently. We're just wandering around in the mountains. Sure, true, true. Interesting. Dangerous to create patterns and lifestyle. Maybe. He certainly felt the need to move around a lot. Hononoki wearing her backpack. Yeah, yeah. The upperclassmen, right? Kinda, kinda. Nice little village. We're in Hinamizawa now. Interesting. Huh. Oh. Oh, it's her. It's her. Okay. I guess she knew, right? She knows everything. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Oh, God. She is terrifying. No, she's terrifying, actually. Like, right, right. Uh-huh. Okay, okay. Huh. Interesting. This is one of those episodes where I think, like some of the episodes in Nisei, where I really struggled to unearth like the deeper meaning and like some of the character interactions. I think this is gonna be like that too. There's There has to be meaning behind so many things that happened in this episode. I'm just really gonna have to reach for it. I don't know. You guys will be along for the ride as I mumble about nonsense. So maybe it'll be fun. I don't know. But like the relationship, okay, we have the three girls, right? We have Ononoki, Shinobu, and Hajikuji. And Hajikuji, we know she represents something very specific for Aragi. Shinobu's kind of like that too. I really think Ononoki also has to be like that. I just don't even know like what, right? They have very specific relationships where Ononoki and Hajikuji are friends. Ononoki and Shinobu have like this antagonistic relationship. Hajikuji and Shinobu, something happened in this episode, kinda. Um, and like that has to mean something. The relationships between them have to be related to the things that they represent and like probably like the way Aragi views these things in his mind, you know? But I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I maybe have a vague answer for Shinobu and Ononoki and their antagonistic relationship. But other than that, Hajikuji and Ononoki being friends, I don't know what that could mean. I don't know. I don't think I'm overthinking it. It means stuff, I'm telling you. Already. Wow. I that would be awesome. That no, I would love that. We need a Fire Sister spinoff. It's coming up. It's coming up. If you say so. Is that is that right? I don't do that. That's for sure. Okay. I I don't know. Okay. If you say so. If you say so. Okay. We'll talk about the episode in the discussion. Okay, let's talk about the episode. So again, as I said during the ending, this might be a rough one to try and really uncover everything in. But who knows, I guess. Who knows? Falling memories and recollections. Interesting. So in the end, we don't know exactly what the darkness is. So I guess so they still don't know what the darkness is, or they're saying they don't. I wonder. I feel like because again, to me it just seems so obvious. Like even the way that Shinobu told the story, that it was when she stopped being a vampire and she was being a god instead, the same way that when people stopped believing in her as being a vampire and her like existence was weakening. I just felt like the next step of that was the darkness showing up to kill her, right? Because she wasn't like what fulfilling her existence as an oddity. I don't know. I have no idea how you would say it, right? Um, I just wonder because again, that seems so obvious to me with the way that they even told the story. Like Shinobu, it's felt like when Shinobu was even telling the story that she thought that as well. But I guess no. I guess they're both saying they don't know. Um, I just wonder, and I don't really have a clear answer for this, but I just wonder if just like the same way that Araragi, like in Kizu, he did the whole thing where the whole vampire thing, where he didn't think about what it meant that he had revived Kiss Shot in Kizu, right? And then in Kizu 3 had this whole breakdown about it, right? I wonder if it's something similar like that, where the idea of what the darkness could mean is something inconvenient or, something he doesn't really want to face, something he doesn't want to look at, which we talked about a lot in the first episode with the darkness already. So therefore he doesn't want to acknowledge what the darkness is either, or like what it could mean, right? Because again, and it's more and more, I'm more so thinking now that maybe it is targeting Hajikuji. Good God, I feel like with what Hajikuji represents thematically and like for Aragi as well, I feel like you could really go off the deep end saying what it means for Hajikuji to be being targeted by the darkness. But I mean, maybe we'll talk about that after the finale. Who knows? But I just wonder if Aragi doesn't want to acknowledge like this, the same way he didn't want to think about Kishot eating humans. He doesn't want to acknowledge the reality and the truth of this darkness, right? And maybe it could be the same for Shinobu as well. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Obviously, for one thing, I just wonder, like, there could be a lot of reasons Shinobu herself would be kind of doing the same thing, right? obviously Araragi and Shinobu are like the same character. They go through a lot of the same problems. It would make sense that Shinobu would maybe have the same reaction to this that Araragi could be, right? I just wonder. I mean, you can think of reasons, right? Like her, it almost being like the darkness in that sense was like her fault in a weird way, and it's having like, and it was kind of the downfall of like the first mini and all that stuff. It was kind of the thing that led to her making him a vampire, and then their relationship falling apart. All of that, right? It could be related to that. Who knows? Who knows? Hmm. We keep talking about striking the darkness first, and I just don't think that's possible. If all the residents of this area are spirited away, it'll be too late. Absolutely. I really hope that doesn't happen. That I mean, there's no way that's going to happen, right? But again, I feel like if my take on the darkness is correct, which I'm so positive it must be, I guess I could be wrong. The only reason I can think that all those people disappeared in the past before was just like it just had to do with their belief in Shinobu and like the weird, because it's their beliefs in her that form her as like an oddity, right? So it's this weird like god belief in her. It was all of them who believed in her or like knew about her existence like as a god, assumedly. And then they got obliterated by the darkness, right? So if the darkness is targeting Hachikuji again, I just don't know, is that going to be a problem? Is the darkness going to chase people down? And again, it's like, and if the darkness is like a self-determined thing too, because in this episode, I just want to say, I was thinking about how the darkness in a moment shows up again, right? And it doesn't show up again until Hachikuji wakes up, right? I was thinking like, why did the darkness show up at that moment? It was right after Hachikuji woke up, right? So if the darkness is like a self-determined thing, right? In Shinobu's mind, when she was the god, when people were viewing her as a god, she was thinking in her mind, oh, but I'm not a god. I'm supposed to be a vampire, right? And then the darkness kills everyone and comes to destroy her, right? In Hachikuji's mind, what could she be thinking? She could be, I don't know. I wonder why in Hachikuji's mind she would be thinking something that would make the darkness come destroy her, right? I guess I don't know. It's interesting because from Aragi's point of view, I can think why he would think Hachikuji should be destroyed. The story has already established that very well with Kabuki, right, with the time travel arc, where the entire premise, the setup of that arc was all about how Aragi felt like he didn't deserve Hachikuji, and all of that, right? But it's certainly not Aragi that's like sicking the darkness on Hachikuji, right? Um, so I don't know. I don't know. What would if it is self-determined and it's like, because Hachikuji woke up and those whatever it is that's making the darkness target her, which could be in her mind, like, is there again because she's awake now. So then the darkness continues to come and start to destroy her again, right? Um I just have no idea what it would be in Hachikuji's mind that would make the darkness destroy her, right? Would it have Because what happened, right? The darkness showed up in the first episode right after Araragi was talking to Hachikuji about what he did in Kabuki, right? Um, she was like, "Oh, you did something completely worthless, all of this, blah 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 blah," right? Could it have something to do with what he was telling her there about her, like what the world was like without her? But why? But why would that have anything to do with her thinking like some kind of like in Shinobu's case with the darkness showing up, she was thinking about how like she isn't, what she should be. And like she was thinking kind of generally like maybe like self-destructive thoughts in that sense, right? And then the darkness shows up. Why would Hachikuji be doing that? I just really can't think of any like I guess it has to be related to her existence as an oddity, right? And I guess if we go back to what she is, what she's supposed to be as an oddity, she's the lost cow, right? So I mean, she's lost all the time. It seems like she still is lost all the time. So like I don't know. I guess she had lost her backpack, and then she got her backpack back, and that's when right when the darkness showed up. But what does that have to do with her as an oddity, right? Unless it just like is it because people aren't perceiving her as the lost cow? But like that just doesn't really make sense because when she was lost for so long on the streets, it's not like she was an oddity that people were like actively worshiping all the time anyway, right? So if it isn't like internalized and it's not about your own thoughts like triggering the darkness as an oddity, then like what's happening, right? If it has to do with other people and the way that they're perceiving Hachikuji and they're perceiving her in some way that she isn't, the same way that was happening with Shinobu being a god, being a vampire, yeah, that whole thing, right? For Hajikuji, like, I guess Aragi doesn't really think of her as the lost cow. Like, maybe. He's not really thinking of her as something else, though, other than, like, the weird thematic way you can perceive Hajikuji. And I guess you could say Aragi's viewing her in that way, kind of, with, like, his thoughts from Kabuki. But is that really enough to trigger the darkness, right? Like, maybe. I just don't know. I don't know. It's interesting that Aragi thinks about Oshino, about everyone going missing, right? I really do wonder how, like, abandoned Aragi feels by Oshino. I remember in the early on episodes of it in Nisei, we talked about this, right? Him talking about uh Oshino being gone, right? In fact, now that I think about that, in that same episode, in like that same scene, he was talking to Hajikuji about Oshino's disappearance. And he was like, "You aren't gonna disappear like Oshino did, right?" And she was like, I don't remember what she said, but I remember he said that, right? He brought up the idea of Hajikuji disappearing. I don't remember what she said in response. But that is interesting. And again, it just makes me think that somehow this Hajikuji being targeted by the darkness would be dictated by Araki, but I don't think that makes any sense. I don't think it can be that, right? Especially after Kabuki, because it's almost like we dealt with that in Kabuki already, right? Hmm. So Ononoki shows up. She listened in on the tragic backstory. How dare she? And she thinks we're going to be tricked by a foolish aberration and end up in a terrible mess. I suppose. Hmm. We'll talk about Shinobu and Ononoki in a second. The relationship between them, I think, is interesting. Hmm. 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 The old hag there is pretty narrow-minded. I guess she is. Don't misunderstand me. Do I look like an intolerant person as she's standing there, like, shaking? Yes, Shinobu, you really do. You really do seem like an intolerant person, but I don't know. And she's on the attack. She, you know, great. Awesome. There's some really great scenes in this episode, huh? So, okay, I guess this is where we should talk about it. I feel like the way that Aragi's talking about these three, it's really establishing and it just I don't know how to describe it. It establishes to me that just like the way Hajikuji, there's like this very specific thing that we can say that she represents. I think for both of them it has to be like that too, right? All three of them being here, surrounding Araragi, and him having these interactions with them, and them interacting with each other. It all means stuff thematically, like for sure. Like whatever they represent for Araragi, whatever they represent in the story in general, right? Like it absolutely does, right? Brought this up a million times and I never have a clear answer for it. But Ononoki. Ever since Ononoki showed up, I always thought it was interesting how she's an oddity that is like the minion of another person, right? It almost feels like Ononoki could be seen as a representation of Aragi's weird thing about humanity, right? Like Ononoki is someone who, at like first glance, with like her the way she's like almost emotionless or sounds emotionless. She isn't, right? But she sounds emotionless, and it sounds like she's, just like a minion, right? Like she is like truly lost her humanity in that sense, because she has like submitted to the will of another person, right? Basically, just a really extreme version of the way Aragi like viewed relationships and humanity in like Kizu, right? Um, Shinobu herself was also like that for a while, right? At the end of Kizu, it's like Aragi put Shinobu in that same position, right? It's like it was his worst nightmare. It was the worst thing he could imagine doing. He regretted it so much because it's almost like he did to Shinobu what he wanted so badly to not happen to him, right? From his perspective, Shinobu at that point was just an empty husk that she truly lost her humanity. She lost everything that made her a person from his perspective, right? This again, the same thing, the way he viewed his humanity and relationships, right? Both of these characters, I think, are like kind of disproving that in a way, right? Like especially in this episode, I feel like there are a lot of things Ononoki says and does that show that she is obviously not just like an empty husk, right? She obviously is still her own person, right? This stuff where she keeps talking about having a job to do, right? It's like if she was truly just Kaganui's minion and she had to do everything she said and she was, and all of that, right? She wouldn't be able to just like delay her job and just be like, oh, well, I'll just do it later, right? That's brought up several times, this idea of her just doing her job later and that kind of thing, right? Which just feels like to me, the point of those lines is just it shows how she is her own person still, right? That she isn't entirely just subservient to her masters or whatever, you know? Which I think is the way that Aragi could easily view her, right? Shinobu has obviously like ever since Nisei, what episode was it? 4, the bath episode, right? Ever since she's become a character, right? She is obviously is not at all representative of that weird humanity thing about Aragi anymore, right? His connection to her, their connections to each other, if anything, is just like shows the opposite of that, right? It has been very beneficial for both of them to have the arrangement that they've had, right? Neither of them are actively suicidal anymore, right? Sounds good to me, right? So I guess you could say, if you really wanted to stretch, that like in a way, Ononoki could represent in some way a representation of Aragi's view of this idea of humanity being like wrong, and Shinobu is like his view on relationships, even though those two things are like so closely related, right? But I feel like that just doesn't make sense. Like they have this oppositional relationship. They're very antagonistic towards each other. They don't like each other. And that means something, right? Like it has to mean something. Them being so mad at each other all the time, not liking each other, whatever they represent, it has to, like that dynamic between them has to represent some kind of opposition between whatever you want to say they represent, like for Aragi, right? I just don't know what. I just don't know what to say. I don't know. It's just so obvious that the author's doing something like with that, right? But again, it's just reminding me of like so many scenes in like Nisei where crazy shit was happening between the characters. It was so obvious to me that it meant something. And I just didn't know what to say, right? I just don't know what it means. Ah, man. It's rough. It's rough. And like even what Shinobu says here, right? We have to decide who his favorite is among the three of them, right? Like it means something, right? He's picking something meaningful here, deciding who his favorite is between the three of them. But I just don't know. I don't know what. Like obviously, all three of them have to represent three sides of something, right? I just don't even know what that thing is, right? Hajikuji has represented like this the positive impact of a relationship and the way that it can have that on like him, I guess, right? I guess you could almost say Shinobu is like him having a positive impact on another person, right? She has improved so much as a person, she's gotten so much better through her relationship with him, right? The reason I'm saying that is because Shinobu started at such like a low point, right? And she has improved so much, right? Hajikuji has always kind of been like a like his therapist almost, right? Through his relationship with her, he has been like benefited so much through that, right? So like those two things, I can see a dynamic between Hajikuji and Shinobu in that sense. Ononoki, I don't know how she fits into that, right? Like she barely has a relationship with Aragi at all, frankly, right? And I guess like she has a relationship with Kaganui, and you can like think about that impact that like this weird thing about relationships, the way he could view that dynamic, but I just don't know what it means, right? So I don't know, but there's something there. There has to be something there. I know there is. And of course, God, we really got to get Shinobu's jealousy out of the way, huh? He says he would pick Shinobu because, you know, of course he would. But she says, I'd like to hear what you think if we weren't one and the same or partners, which is ridiculous because that's like, what do you mean? That's like, would you still love me if I'm a worm? Like, what, Shinobu, what are you talking about? Like, that is what you are, though. So, like, come on. And then he has to pick between Shinobu, Senjugahara, and Hanakawa, which is just even worse. Like, what are we talking about? And he tries to derail it, but no, it's far too important. We have to get this cleared up, of course. and then Hajikuji wakes up, and man, I sure do wonder who Aragi's favorite is when he runs past both of them and has this crazy freak out session with Hajikuji for 5 minutes. Yeah, I sure do wonder which one his favorite is, huh? Yeah, it's a mystery. We haven't had one of these scenes in a while, have we? It has been quite a while. I mean, when was the last one we had? We had like the fake reversal one in Kabuki, where Hachikuji did this to him. But what would have been the last one before that? Like Nisei, I guess, right? It's been so long. Who didn't? Surely everyone missed these scenes, right? Like, come on. Really needed one of these. Really needed one of these, of course. Of course. Maybe it is very important. Maybe it's important, in a way, to just reestablish, to make sure we really understand that Aragi's view of Hachikuji, despite everything that happened in Kabuki, it certainly hasn't changed, right? He still loves Hachikuji just as much, right? He still has this extreme connection to her. Um, I guess it's still yet to be seen whether or not he's like fully internalized, like what, the lesson he could almost learn from this connection to her, right? But yeah, they all bite him. He's loving it, I guess. I understand your feelings, but calm down. Is now the time. Like, Aragi, what are you talking about? You are the one who did it. So, the examination, of course, of course. She's fine as always. Wait, let me read that again. I should read these lines. In the first place, I didn't find that unknown thing to be a problem at all. It's interesting that she says that she doesn't think the darkness is a problem at all. It's just making me second guess my entire read on it. But I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know how seriously to take this line, but no, that's a cop out. It definitely means something. You sure were flustered before. Guess this shows the strength of your spirit. I suppose. I suppose. I thank you for not abandoning me and escaping from that thing with me. I thought in situations like that, you would just shake me off and escape to safety by yourself. It is an interesting thing for her to say, for her to like, obviously she's joking, right? She is joking, but I think there is more meaning to this line than that. I just don't know what to make of it though, right? It certainly speaks in some way to the dynamic of their relationship. But I don't know. I don't know. It is interesting that she would say that, I guess. And, of course, I was also happy you didn't ignore the red light. You were being considerate to me. Interesting he didn't ignore the red light. Because, again, it's like, okay, red lights to me... Let's try and get this cleared up, right? So red lights, to me, represent Araragi, things that Araragi is doing that he thinks, based off his weird, like, system of morality and justice, things that he thinks he shouldn't do, right? So I guess if we want to, like, really overanalyze it, we could say Araragi's sense of weird morality and justice, whatever you want to call it, originally would tell him that his relationship with Hachikuji is, like, bad, right? That's what Kabuki was all about, right? So, there being a red light telling him to stop when he's running away with Hachikuji, like, trying to desperately hold on to her, essentially, trying to not let her get destroyed by the darkness, a red light being there telling him to stop kind of makes sense, because in that sense, it's almost like you could say that is just like a representation of like how, if he hadn't changed, if he was still adhering to that system of justice and morality and all of that, right? If he wasn't ignoring all those red lights that his inner justice is telling him to adhere to, then yeah, he would stop and he would just let Hachikuji be destroyed by the darkness, right? It's interesting in that way because it's like this is the opposite of Kabuki in that sense, how he is desperately trying to like hold on to Hachikuji in a way, especially if the darkness literally is chasing Hachikuji and she is the target, compared to Kabuki, where he thought he just wanted to give her up, right? Where he thought he didn't deserve her. But I guess that's an interesting dynamic then, because it's like in Kabuki, he was the one making the decision. He thought that he needed to do it, right? Because there was more to it than that, right? Because it was like the whole thing about how essentially like he felt like he should have actually done this a long time ago, right? He felt like because all of his relationships, he thinks in some way there has to be some catch to it. He thought that he should have tried to save Hachikuji long ago, and this was some big deep problems that about her happiness that he'd been ignoring, So it was almost like he had to go back and catch up to save her and make her not exist anymore, which was also, the whole thing about how he thinks he doesn't deserve her, right? And I think the fact that he was the one doing it was very important in that sense, right? But the darkness being like this force of nature that is just like arriving here to maybe destroy Hachikuji, that is interesting because then it's like not him doing it, right? And I think that's the important difference there, is if it's not him making the decision, then he doesn't want it to happen, obviously. I mean, also, he kind of learned a lesson from Kabuki, maybe, right? Obviously, like, I don't think for a second this arc is going to end with Hachikuji being destroyed, right? That would really be rough. I really don't think that would happen. But I guess I wonder I wonder what we're gonna do then, right? Like, what is the lesson we're gonna learn then, right? Because it's almost like in that sense, it's like we're retreading the same ground, almost, it feels like, right? If the darkness is targeting Hachikuji, and Aragi already in Kabuki destroyed her, and everything was terrible, obviously, he got to feel the consequences of his action of doing that. And then he, like, what, decided not to? I guess. It's kind of unclear what lesson you want to say he learned from Kabuki, right? Um, then in this arc, okay, there's another thing trying to destroy Hachikuji. It's just not Aragi this time. And this time he's desperately trying to hold on to her, right? So I guess you could say that is representative of him learning that lesson in Kabuki, right? But then where is this leading us, right? Like what is the next lesson? What is the lesson he's going to learn from this, right? So he protects Hachikuji from the darkness, and it doesn't destroy her again, just like how in Kabuki he kind of learned his lesson about wanting to destroy her, right? It's almost like it really is just a representation of that system of justice and morality that tells him that Hachikuji is like bad. This relationship he has with her is like bad. Um, it was like proving that wrong almost, right? But then how does this weird darkness thing fit into it? I just don't know. I just don't know. And I guess it's just too early in the arc, even though we only have one episode left. I guess I feel like I always know where the arcs are headed, but I guess I just don't, right? I guess I just don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. Huh. No, we did run some red lights, and we received divine punishment. God, that's such a telling way for him to think about it, right? The idea that red lights represent divine punishment, because I think for him, that is how he thinks of his weird system of justice and morality, right? He really thinks it is this weird, objective, like, system. There's these things that he just has to do and things he has to not do, and that's just it, right? So of course he would say that if red lights are representative of him breaking those rules, right, like with Hachikuchi, then yeah, of course he would think there would be divine punishment, right? I guess you could almost say that's what the darkness like could represent, like in Aragi's head too. Could be like, I guess, man, like we could say that ever since in Kabuki, it's like he went against, he really crossed a big red light there, keeping Hachikuji, right? Like not having destroyed her in Kabuki, even seeing like what it did, right? He still decided to keep her, right? He really went against like the red lights in that sense, you know. So I guess the darkness could be almost be that divine punishment, you know. Um, I just don't know. I don't know where that could be leading though, right? And I don't really think that's a fair way to look at it either, because it feels like the darkness really is like a force of nature and really is just some kind of natural thing, right? Um, hmm. I don't know. I don't know. Hajikuji's in charge, of course. I didn't think Hajikuji would be in charge, but maybe it makes sense. I don't know. Maybe I could think of a way to like say that it thematically makes sense that Hajikuji would be in charge. Um, I guess I mean, there's several things I can think of where I could like try and get some meaning out of that as an idea, which is just like I don't know, like Hajikuji. You know what? No, we don't need to talk about every single scene this deeply. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Codename Gold. Shinobu gives up on it real quickly. Or there's so many text flashes. She's hinting at more power than she has. It's like she's harboring a leucochloridium worm. Chloridium worm. What could that possibly mean? Ultimate protection. Okay, if you say so. That's a reference to something, maybe? So Ononoki has thought of something about Shinobu's story. Hmm. It isn't an aberration, it's something else, which I certainly agree with. It certainly seems like something beyond oddity, right? Maybe this idea of Araragi almost comparing it to divine punishment does make sense in that sense, right? Hmm. Yeah, it's like something deeper. It's something like beyond the idea of what an oddity or an aberration is, you know? It's like oddities and aberrations are already so meta, and this is just something beyond that, right? Said that last time. Guy and Izuko, she knows everything. And we know Aragi and Guy and Izuko are going to meet up because we know she is going to give him the weird snake god talisman that Nadeko eats. Why is she going to do that? I don't know. Maybe that'll help the Hachikuji situation somehow. And the darkness is here. But it's time to escape. Yeah, I mean, like this shot here, it really seems like it's going for Hachikuji, right? It's just reaching a hand out directly at her, right? Especially with like this weird shit too, with like it's interlapping with Aragi's shadow, and it's like breaking the bond between him and Shinobu. If it was really targeting Shinobu, how would Shinobu have escaped from that point, right? The darkness would have just destroyed her. It would have just immediately gone on her and killed her, right? But it didn't. So it must have followed them or tried to follow them after they left, and they left Shinobu behind, right? And we know Shinobu's not dead, obviously, but also from like Tsubasa Tiger, right? The scene where she like talks to Black Hanakawa, right? So no, it has to be targeting Hachikuji, right? Or Araragi, but I really don't think so. Like, I guess you could say Araragi would kind of make sense. He would certainly, in my mind, fit maybe the mental, like, the mental point where you would think that the darkness should come destroy you, maybe, right? Like, that kind of makes sense to me, right? He's like, he has this idea that, like, what he is wrong, all of the, the whole Araragi stuff, right? I can imagine him being in a mind space where he thinks the darkness should come destroy him. But I don't know. I just don't think that's it. I just really don't think that's it. Hmm. We gotta get out of here, Oninoki. Come on. So we arrive at the waterfall area, of course. It's weak against vertical movement. That has to mean something, right? The idea of moving vertically rather than horizontally. But I don't know. 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 Got another flash here. She sure has an attitude when there's no danger. Relax. I guess. I'm definitely missing text flashes, unfortunately. But oh well. So Hachikuji and Oninoki are also friendly with each other. That means something too. But I just don't know what. I guess just in a vague sense, you could just say that they both do represent, like, they both kind of represent, like, Aragi's mindset on relationships being wrong in, like, different ways. So them being friends makes sense. But I think Shinobu also does that. So I don't know why Shinobu has, like, a weird antagonistic relationship with both of them if we're viewing it in, like, this strictly thematic way. I don't know. I don't know. Hmm. Theory aside, I can't figure out the rules for that darkness at all. But he does immediately ask about Hachikuji right after this. So I do wonder if he does think that, right? I wonder if, at least in his mind, too, if he thinks the darkness should be targeting Hachikuji, right? Guess we already kind of said that, but like, that would make a lot of sense, right? If he thinks this thing is representative of this divine punishment and all of this, he would probably think that it would be targeting Hachikuji then, you know? Thank God. Perfectly healthy. The examination results are in. Hmm. I told you someone knows about the phenomena that isn't an aberration. Guy and Izuko. Oh God, so many. Oh, wait, what? Which are they making out to be the bad guy now? That was brutal. This is a disaster. Hachikuchi screams. She completely beat me up. Anybody could have told them. Putting up that much of a fight. I can't believe it. Her 3 days supremacy are over. This is just like every flash, right? Like every single one. Yeah. It was like every text flash up until Guy Nizuko. Right. Okay. I thought that's what it was. Yeah. Hmm. So we're gonna meet up with Guy and Izuko. I wonder how Aragi and Guy and Izuko, like what their relationship would be like, right? For Hanakawa, it was interesting when she met Guy and Izuko. Because there's the whole like knowing everything thing, which is very interesting, a very interesting dynamic between Hanakawa and Guy and Izuko in that moment. For Aragi and Guy and Izuko, I think it's also interesting. The idea of her knowing everything, her being like this source of like objective knowledge almost, right? Like it's like the idea that she herself can be truly objective because she knows everything, right? I think Araki has some interesting thoughts about the idea of things being objective that could be an interesting dynamic there, I suppose. He asks Ononoki if she should go back to work, and she says no, because she's not that cold-hearted. Which again, I just think that's just the little things that add up to make it so clear that Ononoki is like obviously her own person and she has emotions, right? Which like I guess that's obvious. I just think that's meaningful for the way that Aragi could potentially like view her, right? Hmm. They can't use telepathy. Unlucky. But if things go wrong, she will abandon me without a second thought. It is interesting that he would think that. I like. I don't know, huh? Hmm. I mean, it's just those lines alone make me rethink like everything I've thought about the way Aragi views Ononoki. Honestly, why does he think that? Why does he think that Ononoki? I don't know. I don't know. Huh? Interesting. So Shinobu is gone, unfortunately. That reminds me. That reminds me that she isn't here. No, I was aware that she wasn't around the entire time. That's why I assumed she was in my shadow. Unlike Ononoki or Hachikuji, Shinobu and I can never truly be apart. Through my shadow, through my heart, we are connected. Yeah, they can never truly be apart in a lot of ways. Hmm. We can never be apart. Essentially, this immediately means that she is currently holding up in my shadow. However, that is strange upon reflection. But it's night. She's not here. Hmm. Dawn is near, and it's not midnight anymore, but this clearly counts as night. There are no hints of impending dawn. Interesting. Interesting. I don't. I don't know what to make entirely of the idea of their bond being broken in this sense, right? Because the bond between Shinobu and Aragi was always kind of just like a suicide pact. Almost. Maybe that's the wrong way to say it, right? But it was something that prevented either of them from being able to die, right? Because if either of them die, then like Aragi can't bring himself to kill her. Like ever since Kizu, right? Aragi can't bring himself to kill her. She's too weak to like go out and kill people to force him to kill her, right? And he can't die because if he does, then she'll get her power back, right? All of this stuff, right? And like in Kizu, when they were both like horribly suicidal, it was kind of just like a forced way for them both to not be able to die anymore, right? It forced them to actually live their lives instead of killing themselves, right? Um, Obviously, I think Aragi and her have gotten a lot better in that department ever since then. Um, so you have to wonder then, like, what does the bond itself represent then, right? Like, obviously, Shinobu and Aragi are like bonded forever through like the shared emotional things they've gone through, right? Yeah, but that exists with and without this literal bond between them, you know. So I just wonder what Aragi thinks then about like the literal pairing, the bond itself, you know. Hmm. Like her own super dimension in there. She got a Nintendo DS. And he has to kiss Ononoki, of course. I mean, that is the only answer, is that he has to kiss her. Or Hajikuji, obviously. Of course, of course. Hmm. Ononoki searches the shadow. Shinobu's not in there. I just waited for something like an answer. Hmm. At last. Not here. The darkness overlapped Aragi's shadow, which is very, I don't know. Because, like, in this moment, it looks like it's so clear that it's, like, reaching for Hajikuji, which, again, makes sense. I guess this is, like, a weird shot, right? Maybe I shouldn't take this too literally. But it's interesting that it overlapped Aragi's shadow, too, right? Hmm. And no, Shinobu wasn't swallowed by it. Of course, of course. And we are back to talking about humanity and vampires, which is interesting. I don't really know. I think in this case, I think the idea, like vampirism, ever since Kizu, yes, you can generally like view it as like this idea of connection between like uh connection that Aragi has, right? Like it was like the very clear like analogy between like the way he viewed relationships and like vampirism, right? In this case, I don't really know if that's like what we're talking about. I think the idea of him becoming like more or less vampire, not having less his vampiric nature, isn't really like the focus. Although I do think their pairing being separated, and despite that, Aragi still being a vampire, is interesting because, like, of course, right? I think Aragi naturally being like without this influence of Shinobu on him, still being a vampire in some way. I think that makes sense, right? Because of course, because he has like changed, right? Like from his point of view, I guess you could say he has lost his humanity with or without Shinobu being here. You know what I mean? Because it's like a representative of how he's like changed as a person. You know what I mean? That she is not inside my shadow now is indisputable. Hmm. Pairing has been eradicated. Get this crazy shot of him and this tree. Very interesting. Hmm. But yet the darkness didn't kill her, so yeah, no time to get discouraged. Exactly, exactly. And he really thinks about how he wants to apologize. We have to meet up with her. I want to apologize to her. I want to apologize. Though I don't know whether it will cheer me up, I still want to apologize. Interesting. Obviously, he feels bad for abandoning her there, but there's something more, there's something deeper to this, for sure, right? Hmm. Interesting. My actions are random and hasty, I guess. So we can't use session version because Aragi's too weak, unfortunately. So we've got to wander around in the mountains for a while. He's not immortal. Oh, that's the other thing, is Aragi's not immortal now, which is interesting because, like, what does it mean to be immortal? You know, um, very interesting that he's not immortal. I don't know. I don't know. Huh? And he can't be as reckless. Can't be as reckless as he's been for the past 2 months. Yeah. Hmm. It's like he's really. It's very interesting. It's like he's been thrown back to this. It's almost like he's been thrown back to this idea of his humanity in a sense, right? And instead of it making him stronger, which was almost like what he thought was like the point in like Kizu, right, from his original mindset, you know. No, he's weaker than before. Because, of course, right? Because obviously vampirism made him stronger, right? Relationships with other people made him stronger, right? So, of course, he's weaker when that's, you know, when that has been weakened, right? The interesting thing, of course, is like this bond between them isn't literally their relationship, right? Like he still has the relationship with her anyway, right? And I mean, maybe that's why he is still partially vampire, you know? Hmm. And so Shinobu has to be even weaker too. Yeah, because of how the relationship works, right? But I need to calm down. It's not over yet. The story is still continuing. Exactly. It's interesting that you would even think this, right? The idea that the story could be like over in that way, right? Kind of being a doomer. Hmm. So he sends the text, which yeah, from Tsubasa Tiger. I completely forgot about this text, but yeah. It's the text that yeah. And like Senju like asks Hanakawa something about it, all of that. Yeah. Right. So we wander around. Hachikuji fell asleep. Real tired. Can't blame her. She's had a busy day. Oh, this is an interesting line. About Kaganui and her not wanting to form patterns and lifestyle, it being dangerous. I don't know what that means, but I guess it means something. We barely know anything about Kaganui, so it's kind of hard to analyze it. But that is, I don't know, interesting to think about, perhaps. Hmm. Oshino tried to prevent creating patterns in everyday life too. Did he? I suppose, like in a way, there was like the way he like what he didn't want to say goodbye, the way he just kind of decided to get up and leave. I guess you can call that not wanting to create a pattern, not wanting to stay in the same place, I guess, right? Hmm. Some strange ties between them. And we knock on this door, and here is Guyan Izuko. Let me read these lines. I have to make a phone call, whatever it takes. I have to meet up with my partner, my lifelong partner. I don't know. I guess like this extreme feeling from him that he has to get back to Shinobu as soon as possible. Obviously, it makes sense. I also just shows how dependent he is on her, right? How dependent they are on each other. Which just it just makes sense with all they've gone through, you know. I don't know. It's just interesting. I just wonder, like, hmm, it's interesting to think about because Shinobu is immortal. So I guess like I was thinking like, okay, what if he, you know, what if he doesn't have Shinobu around one day? I guess that's kind of what he's experiencing now. But I guess Shinobu is immortal, so maybe he won't have to worry about that. You know, I don't know. I will think about it maybe. Here's Guy Nizuko with her classic crazy rainbow circle in the sky. That was in the sky so much. in like every scene she was in Tsubasa Tiger, there's this crazy rainbow twirly thing in the clouds. Of course, of course. And she knows everything, so she was waiting for us, obviously. And that's the end. Okay. Huh. I feel like there was a lot of stuff in this episode that I didn't really touch on that I would just have to think about. Just so much like thematic stuff, so much thematic stuff that absolutely means stuff. It's just so hard. It's so hard. I'm really trying. Um, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe it'll become clearer eventually. Either way, really good episode. I am enjoying this arc for sure. I think it kind of reminds me of Nisei in a way. The way that it's like kind of like I guess it's just it reminds me of like every Araki arc, I guess, in a way that it is. The way that it's so less clear than arcs where Araki isn't the narrator. It's like the Araki narrator arcs now are the ones where you really have to think because you have to cut through so many layers of Araki stuff, right? To like gets to what's actually going on, you know. But that's okay. It's cool. It makes a very interesting experience. So yeah, I guess that's it. So please subscribe if you enjoy my videos. Leave a comment, tell me what you think, and I will see you in the next one.